Welcome. I'm going to do a video. We're going to talk about Terrence Howard's work, who was on the Joe Rogan Experience about a week ago, and mentioned his patents, and I came across this today, so I thought I'd talk about it because I was a patent examiner. I have a theory of everything. I have a periodic table that I am proposing. I have a model for how gravity works. So, in short, I'm just almost obligated to respond. Being in this realm of research, regardless of recognition, it doesn't really matter whether or not my work has been recognized. I should at least speak. So, first thing, the first thing is, what is a patent? In the podcast, it's worth noting that Terrence generally spoke of patents in general as some kind of proof of a inventive and novel idea, specifically that it's a good idea. Patents are more so proofs of novel ideas, not novel good ideas. So, in essence, if they are technically patentable, which means the invention as it is written in the claims. So this is Terrence's application. And if any patent application, if you go to the bottom, has a claim section, what is claimed is. This is the legally binding language of a patent. Nothing else really, none of this is prosecutable according to law. The claims are, that is where the monopoly is given. This is what matters, is the claims. Specifically, most importantly, is the independent claims, like Claim 1, a pentangular structure vehicle comprising, it doesn't say, like over here, so A, introducing the concept, and then over here, referring back to the structure of Claim 1 vehicle. So it's pentangular. So pentangular, meaning, I guess, having 5 sides. Okay. So 5-sided, specifically. So it narrows. So if anything is 4-sided, it's 6-sided. Although this says 6-sided, first 6-sided, so maybe also not 6-sided, maybe, but 7-sided, 8-sided. Maybe it could be argued that if everything else was identical, that it was obvious and therefore is still infringing on the patent potentially. So pentangular, while having some technical meaning in that it says 5 or maybe 6, I guess, in the next line, but I guess it has. Let's look. Why is it 6-sided if it's 5-sided? I don't know. It's okay. Doesn't matter. Okay. So the point is, though, is that the claim language is what is legally binding. And as someone who is a patent examiner, how the process goes is you have a docket where there's many applications assigned to your docket, and you then go through them and examine them based on when they were filed and various things that put them towards the top of your docket, meaning those are the ones that need done the first, basically. Which then they had a whole system around it. But what you then would do is you would look at the application, and first step would be to determine, is this a single invention, basically, or is it like if this says a vehicle comprising, and then over here it says a method of making a vehicle comprising, then it could be that the patent examiner says this is two inventions and requires them to file and basically gives a restriction office action where they restrict the invention to one invention and make them file a continuation of another patent application that then still has the same filing date as long as there's not new matter inserted, to then have a single invention being the focus of the patent application. And assuming they do that or don't do that, once that's done, they then actually examine the patent. And the first step is called a non-final office action rejection, assuming it's not immediately allowable, which is almost never the case, because even if it's allowable as an invention, it tends to be in need of some kind of amendment in terms of claim language or something that needs, like even just a restriction, some kind of requirement for changing the language. But generally, almost every patent is just given a non-final office action in the first office action. Okay. Based on the claim language, though. So the examiner would say, like, what is claimed is a pentangular structure vehicle comprising. And then they would begin, like, maybe some portion of this and say, this exists here, and here's an example. And then this second six-sided thing, maybe there's some other thing that has two components, like an airplane, let's say, has two wings. I don't know, just for example. And they say it's obvious to have a second propulsion system for added propulsion. And so on, let's just say. And then they send that rejection back. And the attorney then is like, which by the way, 100% Terrence had an attorney. I found the attorney, so he definitely had an attorney. Because we're going to look at some more specific things. Like this. Although, interestingly, I'm having issues finding this. It's like they took it down. It's like they took it down within the last few minutes. Both Google Chrome and this, maybe, let's say 7, because there's probably one with that number too. Okay. So maybe it's just not working right now. Maybe their system is down, because it was working. And I got the non-final office action, and I got the allowance. I was trying to get the response from the attorney to the non-final office action so that we could have those 3 discourses. And then this happens. So unfortunately, it looks like we're not going to see the response to the non-final. But let's check it out. So here is the non-final office action. Examiner Matthew Stanksack. Sorry, Matt. So, by the way, I don't know what's going on with the patent office. He must have filed for a expedited patent application. I believe you can do that. Expedited patent application filing. Out of turn to make a special under the accelerated. So he must have filed under the accelerated examination program. Absolutely, because if we look at this, filed January 2020, and then publication where they just publish. So if you ever see a patent, someone saying that a patent and it has a number like this with a year backslash number, that is only the publication of the patent application. In this instance, patent number, and then it's in the millions, just a number, a single number with no year. That is a patent number. So he actually has a patent. But I would say that as someone who worked as a patent examiner, I allowed a lot of patents. I never saw a patent that I thought would change the world. It's not every patent that changes the world. So, like, that there is a patent doesn't really mean anything unless the invention itself is extraordinary. Like the radio versus pre-radio. That was an invention that was extraordinary. But like when I worked there at the patent office, I examined things that were like the heat exchange structuring of the sides of a fuel cell and the angles of the metal platings that were certain ways where like 5 applications with different ways are filed, where it's just like what they are doing is, first of all, controlling the market. They're just taking anything they can as their own. They don't want other companies doing it. They don't care how useful or good it is. They want to be the ones who are able to do certain things while others are not able because it's in their best advantage. So a company just inherently is going to tend towards filing patents regardless. They're not going to say, this is pretty trivial. What are we doing? They're going to say, our stocks depend on this. File. You have a quota to meet. And you'll get your bonus. But file. Because we have to look like we're innovating. It doesn't really matter if we're innovating. What matters is that we look like we're innovating. So keep filing the patents. That's what the patent system has become. That's why there is an accelerated program, because it's so delayed that it's like 5 years to even get an actual patent allowed from filing. I mean, short, like lowballing it sometimes. Some of them are like a decade. I mean, you like get the monopoly and all, like they fix it in those ways, but still it's kind of outrageous because it's just saturated with trivial nonsense. But there are still 11 million patents. How many inventions can you name? What percent of 11 million can you reach in inventions? I'd say I could probably reach like maybe a couple thousand if I sat there and really thought about inventions. So, like, what percentage do you think matter? Probably about 0.1%, 1 in 1,000, maybe, let's say. So the odds are that this is the reality is that it's just a patent. It doesn't really mean anything. So anyway, I just want to point that out because it's like that's the reality of patents. They just don't mean anything except for what they mean is that the prior art did not have that feature and the attorney or applicant persuasively argued that that feature mattered enough to give them a patent. It didn't mean that feature was groundbreaking. Like I said, I never saw anything. I can't even really remember because they were like anode compounds. Like I can understand wanting to patent certain compounds and things when you're making batteries because that's what I examined was fuel cells and batteries. But a lot of it was like, I mean, it's just different ways of making batteries, pretty much. Some are, I mean, obviously there's little improvements, and like they have to show improvements. So like there's a measurable improvement. I wonder if there's any like tables or anything in here. It's a bunch of figures that are not very impressive to me, honestly. I mean, I guess if you put a bunch of propellers on something, it can fly accurately. I'll give it that. I'll give it that. I mean, does that pre-exist in other, like, movies, other places? I mean, probably. Does he have a working model? I don't know because on the Joe Rogan Experience, he played a computer generated video of it flying, which makes me say he doesn't even have an actually working model of this, so it may not even work. I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't with a bunch of propellers, but at the same time, if they're pointing in the wrong direction, they're gonna like add force downward. I mean, I don't know, like, so like, why? What would they even be there? What purpose would they serve? I don't know. I guess that too. I guess they'd have some purpose. It just would be pretty minimal. But so it's just a lot of text, some images, and then the claims. It looks like examples. Let's see. So to go through this, there's an abstract. So the structure of a patent begins with the abstract, then the figures, and then the background. So we'll look at the background in a second because that's probably worth checking out. It might even be worth looking at references cited, which is interesting. 1960, I mean, patents. It really gives me the impression that this attorney, the attorney's office in general has some like group that does pre-searches for basically patent applications that they are filing for inventors. They then do a cursory search and find pre-existing things because I mean for it to be all patent cited really strongly suggests that. The only thing that's not a patent cited is here, which maybe and it is from 2020 and oddly from October uploaded. It doesn't say what this is. It might be available if we get access here. but it doesn't look like it's working. I wonder, it says I can put in search by application number, patent number. So let's try patent number. 11.117.065. Freaking A. It's probably in the system for like accessible to the general public through their website here, patentcenter.uspto.gov. In here. But unfortunately, it doesn't look like we can see it. Why do I still have that open? And then this is the non-final. But so here's the abstract. A linchpin structure, which I notice it's not in this claim. Let's see if it's in any of the claim language. Linchpin, no. No. So even if it was, they got him to remove it entirely from the claim language. Although the patent attorney may have suggested to not use it because it was too limiting of a terminology that might have restricted the patent unnecessarily. So he might have just not used it by like deductive reasoning of how to write it. A linchpin structure may be combined with one or more additional linchpin structures to form a compound linchpin propulsion structure. Each linchpin structure may include, so interestingly, this starts with A, the abstract, but then the claim starts with 2. So they required the first claim to narrow down to having a first structure and a second, 2 propulsion devices. Each linchpin structure may include 6 pentangular areas, and one or more of the pentangular areas, I might have been wrong in that. Maybe the first claim is describing a single linchpin, perhaps. One or more of the pentangular areas may include a propulsion device. The propulsion may be used to propel the compound linchpin propulsion structure through or over various media, such as through air, across ground, on or underwater, or through or over other media. The propulsion may include avionic propulsion, ground propulsion, hydrodynamic propulsion, or other types of propulsion. Ground propulsion. A single type of propulsion device may be used within one or more of the pentangular areas, or diverse types of propulsion may be used to provide various navigational, performance, or multi-mode operation. Each propulsion device may also include a device to direct the propulsion, such as a single or multi-axis gimbal or adjustable aerodynamic control surface. And then we have like a Star Wars, like one of the ships that destroy the Death Star. That's what that makes me think of. Okay, let's kind of look at these a little bit. I don't really want to like read the specification, the main content, the body of this, and refer it back to those figures, because the body describes these. Like it says, figure 9 is blah 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 blah, figure 10 blah blah blah, and 140 blah. blah 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 140, blah 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 134 or 1030, 1034, 1040. It looks like origami. Okay. Just really hard to even comprehend what is happening in these. I guess he's showing them arranging themselves to become a single unit from multiple. Essentially. Okay, this is what I was actually kind of curious about also. Present invention relates to educational combinable structures. Educational. Like that's the totality of how they were described. Beyond just that the linchpin combinable structure aspect of it all is additionally educationally, but of no useful, like, no use. I guess education is a use, but is that how it's presented? I don't know. Planar geometric structures may be assembled in various configurations to form different three-dimensional 3D geometric structures and may be collapsed into substantially planar configurations. The structures may be used as an educational toy by children or may be used by adults or children to explore various three-dimensional or two-dimensional or three-dimensional shapes. So it's literally a toy. In the patent, it's written as a toy for children. Is this some trolling? This is some high-level trolling shit. I swear to God. I swear to God, it's some high-level trolling. My red flags going off, my alarm bells going off, like doo 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 doo, actor, acting, bullshit, lying, fucking around, trolling. Some high level trolling, like some deep Illuminati trolling. Especially trolling me, maybe even. I don't even know. Shoot. Sorry if I think things are about me. Hard not to sometimes. When I made all these discoveries that are just like, what the fuck is happening? You guys, you guys, you guys know what's up. I can't get past it. Dude, that's probably what's going on. I'm just like the sun. What you say? What he say? This fucking punk ass. Okay, so let's look at the allowance let's look at the rejection first. Pardon me. Claims 1 to 20. So they got 9 to 20 removed as a possible continuation. 1 to 8 are rejected, which is just standard. Like, it doesn't matter what the patent application is unless it's utterly novel in such an intense way that it's impossible to deny. Like, to even put an obviousness rejection on it is like too difficult, and the claim language is perfectly written. It's just always rejected. It doesn't, this, in the same way as a patent being allowed as a patent doesn't really mean anything. A patent being rejected, especially in the first office action, it doesn't really mean anything. Drawings are accepted. Notice of, okay, detailed action note to applicants. Election restrictions, they got these claims withdrawn. Election was made without traverse, meaning they did not refute it and just simply chose one of the groups that were, I believe you say these groups, like this one or this one kind of thing. I can't really remember. Claim rejections 112. I don't even remember what a 112 even was. I'll do 102, 103, 101, I believe. 112. What was this about? Specification shall conclude with one or more claims, particularly pointing out. Okay, so it's just kind of like fix your claim language. Okay. Claim 7 is rejected under. Okay, so claim 7 only. Recites the limitation, the plurality of control surfaces. So we can't see the original claim language. Maybe we can if we go like this. Where is it? Where is it? It's somewhere. There it is. If we find this one. Patents. Google Patents. Hopefully that works. There we go. And then we could just do this. And then we can go down here. There should be 20 claims. Yep, so we got 20 claims this time. And then claim 9. So let's see. Let's see if we see anything very different. Just in claim 1. Real quick. Pentangular structure vehicle comprising, so that stays the same, a first 6-sided 3D geometric structure including a first propulsion device and a second, the second fixedly attached. So this is all the same. Wherein it looks like it's pretty much the same claim language. Joined at a common vertex. I don't see any. Oh, here's something. Each. Oh no. 2. I think it's the same. I think it's identical. So claim 1 looks to be identical. Let's see. Why is it? Let's see the rejection. Claim 7 and 8 rejected for claim language indefinite. Okay, that's right, indefinite. It's been a decade. That was a less that was more like technical. This is more like about the actual invention. 103, so obviousness is a 103. The determination, blah blah blah. Obviousness. Okay, so that's just all. This is all. Like, how these are written is a pretty intense program in like Microsoft Word where you just insert like this and then this and like choose from a drop down box and insert this text and then insert this text and then put in the claim numbers and put in that and then you type your actual response and like generally do it in a manner where you say regarding claim 1, regarding claim 2, 3, 4, etc., and then go through the evidence that the prior art and why it appears to either pre-exist or not. So we have a 103 obviousness rejection based on a recent publication, which maybe we should check that one out to see how similar that one is. I guess we found the other one. Patents. vehicle. 2018-019-4463. Helsinki. Based on this one. Unmanned aerial vehicle. I mean, this is pretty comparable, I'd say. Very comparable. Certainly not the same structure, which would be one of the instances where obviousness rejection is applied. But then again, the response from the attorney is probably, no, it's not, here's why. And the seemingly the office said, okay, good point. Here's your patent. Thanks for adjusting the other issues. Okay, so regarding claim 1 discloses, so then they basically use the claim language and say this other inventor, this other source prior art discloses claim language. See figure 2, so he references figure 2 here. Presumably this one. I got this one. A structure vehicle, so it doesn't say pentangular, so he leaves out that language, comprising a first 3D geometric structure, including a first propulsion device and a second 3D, so basically there's two sides, and more really, but does not specifically disclose a pentangular structure, each structure being six-sided, and wherein each six-sided 3D geometric structure includes six substantially pentangular planar surfaces, each substantially pentangular planar surface joined along two adjacent edges to four adjacent substantially pentangular planar surfaces. However, the examiner notes that it is obvious that the chamfered corners, these corners, I guess, how they're like that, can be removed so that a pure dodecahedron is used. Noting omission of an element, and so he basically cites a reason for obviousness. Omission of an element and its function where not needed is obvious. In addition, if a pure dodecahedron is used, then the above claim language is met by the structure. See NPL Math UBC figure reproduced below. Noting is a pentangular because each polygon has 5 sides. Each structure would have 6 sides as labeled below, and when assembled into a complete dodecahedron, each pentangular surface in a structure would share at least 3 edges with 4 other adjacent planar surfaces. Noting includes is an open-ended transitional phrase that is synonymous with comprising. So maybe they changed a word like that also. Includes. I might have missed a word. Sometimes it's something literally like that, where it said consists. So comprising is open language, meaning, like it says, comprising an egg is like an omelet, but consisting of an egg is like an egg. And only an egg. Consisting is closed language, nothing else. Consisting of. So maybe they, let's see if there's anything. It still says comprising down there. Can I search this for includes and then go to the claims? No, not there. Where was the other one? This one? Yes. Includes. I still don't see it. I don't know. But sorry if that was hard to read. I don't know if it was kind of small before. Okay. Thus it would have been obvious to one of ordinary skill in the art, which is the general phrase of patent. One of ordinary skill in the art, meaning an expert in the art. Ordinary skill is an expert in an art, essentially. Could be modified like within a ordinary skill in an art means an expert, basically. That's just the average skill of those in an art is an expert. Okay. Could be modified to eliminate the chamfered corners because it would be obvious that cameras could be used at the vertices without the need for a chamfered corner. Regarding Claim 2, discloses that the first propulsion device is supported within a first pentangular planar surface. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so then they just kind of go through the other claims, which I'm going to kind of go past, and then conclusion, and looks like he is a junior examiner, has a supervisor who signs off. I was always a junior examiner. I got to take the test to try to become a primary examiner, and then failed because you can only make a certain amount of mistakes. And I just was like, I'm not changing a thing. I'm just being me, doing this. I did not agree either. I was pissed. I was like, if you're gonna tell me I made mistakes, at least accurately tell me I made mistakes. Don't tell me I made mistakes that are not actually mistakes. This is not a fucking mistake. I was pissed. Like, after initially I was like, okay, this is just like for show. They're gonna like allow it through that I passed this. Once I've argued my side, not a single one was argued persuasively. Out of 8 errors they found across a period of like 6 months or whatever period, even though I was right at least one time, if not several, and maybe I didn't deserve to get the like passing amounts. I could see some of the errors I remember were like technically errors, but like it's just that's kind of why I was like, fuck this job. That's where I like lost all interest in that job when that happened. I was like, I didn't even make that error. You're just fucking retarded. You don't know how to speak. That word has a meaning, and you're telling me it doesn't have the meaning that it has, to a point where you're like not even letting me argue this error is not an error. I was pissed, dude. Like, one of them was so blatant that it was just like a grudge or something. It was like the way my way of being was unacceptable or something. Where she just was like, no. Like, dude, looks like I know patent law better than you. Or at least the English language. Like, fucking words have meaning, bro. I was pissed. I am that's one of my subtle skills, subtle arts, is my mastery of the English language. Got it all going, ladies, except a couple things that are maybe most desirable, like someone who moves. Moving's probably good. Sorry, ladies. I want to go out to do the blah blah. Oh, I gotta rest. I'm tired. I slept all night and I'm still tired. Why you want to do stuff all the time? I don't know. Okay. Yeah, so that is my thoughts on this patent is it's cool. I mean, bravo and all. It's always, especially like as a individual filing a patent, that he successfully got a patent is, I mean, bravo. But again, like he paid an attorney. Understand that attorneys get patents. That's what they do. That's what they're paid to do. That's what they do. Some of them, they are sharks. They ain't taking no for an answer. They're like, what you say? Appeal. Look, I'm gonna make this a pain in the ass for you. I don't give a shit. Did you say no? Appeal as is. I had this one attorney. He did not give a fuck. He'd just be like, appeal. I was like, damn, bro. You didn't want to debate a little bit. He's just, nah, son. As is. I ain't changing a letter. Most attorneys are like, alright, what's up? Alright, alright. Is that good? Is that good? Cool. Some of them are like, so you probably not gonna work out, huh? Alright. But they know what they're doing. They know how to write a patent. That's my point. If you don't know how to write a patent, you're not getting a patent. There's, like, look at it. To look at what, like, there is a structure that cannot be faked, cannot be approached without actually knowing what you're doing. It's kind of just how it is with everything. But so, like, I mean, I don't want to be like, well, he's an actor, but like, it's true. He's an actor that has money. No offense, it just is. So he could pay for this. It doesn't really, again, unless like we see these things down, like I start walking down the street like 5 years from now or sooner, and we start seeing them like flying around doing things important. Like, well, that's just carrying medical supplies. Whoa, two of them with delivered safely with no capacity for anyone to take them out of the air directly to the person. Who knows? I mean, maybe I'll be like, I mean, useful. So good. But, like, it wouldn't matter that there was a patent. Maybe it would matter that, like, the general society at large became aware of the, like, concept and saw its usefulness, but it itself says it is a toy. I mean, I know he has other patents. I haven't looked for them yet. Maybe, again, patents.google.com. And how, or what was his name? Deshaun something? Yeah. Maybe T. I might want to put in T. Two thousand 2009. So that's a earring. Patent application. There's no way this got a patent. There's no way that this got a patent. Post is formed of diamond with a gemstone. I mean, did it get a patent? I don't know. I guess this is a similar one. Diamond band made from solid diamond. Those don't sound particularly like anything. This looks like more what we would want to look for, I guess, like an actually more like sciencey patent application. System method of merging virtual reality sensory detail from a remote site into a room environment at a local site. This is the one that he mentioned was cited by many people, some amount of people. Although in what manner, I'd be curious to see. Maybe we can find it. If we go... Okay, so it was abandoned. Oh, citations. Cited. Here we go. Cited by... So these are ones that he cited, I guess. Because they're prior. And then these are cited by priority date 2007. Let's check out this Microsoft one that cites it. Doesn't have prior art cited in there. We might need to go like this, and then like this, real quick. There's the patent, right? I think that's the same one. Yeah, Gong. Download. Here we go. References cited. Continued, so it doesn't have them all. So it could be... I mean, it says it cites it, so it must be cited. I'm just kind of curious in what context it cites it. That's the problem with citations like that. Like, unless he just talks about it. Like, if I go, Howard. Oh, there, okay, there's the citation. There we go. He doesn't mention it again. Okay, so there's the citation. It just doesn't say why, though. Again, it could be like I mentioned before, the patent attorney's like office, they will do pre-searches for the invention, and the inventor will just disclose any relevant prior art, like which is important to like understand. Like, that's how things are done. Otherwise, it's like theft. Theft of an idea. Like, don't steal ideas. Like, something I don't want to like say stealing, but he's stealing if he's not citing. Like, it doesn't matter if he doesn't recognize what he's doing. Like, he's still doing it. And so like, He didn't mention hermeticism, which clearly was a huge kernel of what was being said. The electric universe theory didn't mention, which seemed to be another like input into what he was thinking and why. And then really the gravity one, I've yet to see it presented in a way where it's not his work. It's always like cursory, like it's always, oh, this other guy made this and then blah 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 blah, and it's like, wait. You didn't even, like, what did you do with this though? He showed you it? Or you, like, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? He doesn't, because he doesn't say. It's not really presented, like, whether or not he, like, participated in the process and in what ways. So, like, the vortexes, like, if I was the dude who made that, I'd be like, bruh, what the fuck you doing? That's what I'd be like. What the fuck are you doing, bruh? This is some Newton Robert Hook shit right here. Like, you didn't do that. You did not do that. So don't, like, go around like you did. I don't know if I'm mistaken. Pardon me if I don't understand the circumstances well enough. But it doesn't seem like he really did that. But it seems like someone else showed him that, and it was really profound. And he agreed, and it came to the general public through him, so he's become like the famous one, kind of like Tesla versus Edison or what have you. Like, one benefits, the other gets fucked over. Is that what's going on here? I don't know with regard to the vortex gravity thing, because that is really profound. I mean, it doesn't actually capture what's happening because it's gravity, even though gravity is an effect. But gravity is. It's like Terrence was like, gravity doesn't. This is gonna kill gravity. No, it's not, because gravity is. It's just reality. I'm not saying that it exists fundamentally. I'm not saying that. A river doesn't fundamentally exist. It is composed of smaller things that is ultimately what makes it up. And then those things don't really exist either. And everything is like that. What were you talking about? It doesn't exist. Why was I talking about that? Gravity. Yeah. It's not that it is fundamentally exists in that it is a causeless effect in the universe. That is not true. It is an effect caused by the infinite nature of the universe, where there are smaller and smaller particles approaching infinitesimal that then also approach, because of their subtleness, infinite abundance and saturate the universe. But because of their subtleness, again, they travel at approaching an infinite velocity in all of space. And when another object, like a planet, is in these flows, it absorbs some of it, although some passes through because it's really subtle, but some of it is absorbed by the system. And then another system that would have had that pressure applied to it doesn't, but then the surrounding pressures aren't changed, leading to a low pressure in the direction of the first system and vice versa because currents are coming from all directions. That's gravity. It exists. It's an effect of the infinite cosmos, but it exists. Saying it's electric doesn't really say anything, but saying it is a manifestation of the flows of ether causing pressure, which, by the way, he did. Kudos. Kudos, Terrence. I don't want to shit on his work. I mean, it's just like it. I'm just talking. I don't want to shit on his work. He's obviously has a lot of like good aspects, but it's hard to distinguish what is his work. That's a major problem I have with looking at it. Like it, the periodic table is that looks to be all Walter Russell's work. So it's not. That's not his. Like what is happening? Whose ideas are these? I don't want to listen to some third hand. No offense, but I don't want to listen to someone regurgitating someone else's ideas to the best of their ability when they're not the source. That's not what I want to hear. That's why you need to cite sources. Like, this is drawing from Hermeticism. Please just mention it. If the world was focusing on Hermeticism right now and not specifically Terrence Howard's ideas, it would be better off. That would be a better outcome, no offense. Because Hermeticism is really what he is even talking about, ultimately. At least things that are accurate. Are just like literally Hermetic teachings. As above, so below. Cite sources, because I know he's drawing on them because I can tell. It's kind of interesting to even observe. Like I can tell he has studied the electric universe. I literally can tell. I mean, and Hermeticism, and apparently Walter Russell. And probably other things, but like those were resounding as like major influences, which is not a bad thing. I mean, if you listen to me, you're like that. I don't know if you what you think, but maybe someday you come to the conclusion that guy's thoughts are very much hermetic because he says so. Like actually says it, makes a point to cite references because it's important. Because there's a lot of information there that when spoken of out of context by just talking about something that was like in a book or written somewhere in some research, but not referencing where it came from, everything else is gone and unobservable, and it's very difficult to make that connection if you don't already have that connection made. Like let's say someone, just an average person listening to that podcast is not going to be like, wow, I see Hermetic teachings. I see the electric universe. I mean, Walter Russell, he points out himself, but they're going to say he's got interesting ideas and like tie them specifically to him when there's Hermetic teachings that are more precise, far more profound, no offense, more larger breadth, like more scope of what they cover. I mean, and then the periodic table, I mean I don't want to pointed out because I said ammonite wrong in like multiple videos. I feel like a huge hypocrite to even point it out, but it's manganese. I don't know what he said, but it wasn't manganese. And I'm like, that's not that. Like, dude, how can you be presenting a new periodic table if you can't say manganese? It's just like, I don't know what chemists think when they if they listen, they just let it go. They just let it slide. Because twice, at least twice, he said manganese wrong to a point where I'm like, what did he just say? What word did he just say? I think he was like, I think it was a combination of magnesium and manganese, which are not the same thing, but I understand combining them in your head, especially if you see the two less often. So you kind of tend to merge them into like one thing. So like magnesius or whatever he said. Magnesis. I don't even remember. When it's manganese, or he was saying magnesium, I guess, but he wasn't saying that either. It's like, okay, really, you don't even know the elements that, like, certainly not that well. Um, it's kind of odd as someone who has profound research to share to watch the world. Like, I see people, no offense, Kurt, like Kurt J. Mongol, who are just like trying to get an interview with them, and like, you know, a bunch of people on Twitter just talking about it, just like, oh, this is really like, and me too. It's me too. I'm not like not talking about it, but people trying to like, I guess I'm doing that too. I was gonna say like get a move up on it, get kind of grab the coattail. Oh shoot! Hitch a ride up. It's a long way up. But like, you don't have to like pander to people just because they're like popular. I mean, because the ideas are not that good. No offense. You put my ideas next to these ideas, and it's just like, dude, what are you doing, pandering, bruh? I found the truth, and I gotta sit and watch the world do whatever the fuck. Whatever the fuck. Whatever happens, happens. Dear God, though, did I break the game? I was watching one of my videos recently. I'm like, dude, I haven't. My most recent video, I was like, I haven't. I know I kind of mumble, especially when I haven't been recording. I like kind of talk lower volume. I already mumble and talk low as is, so some of it's like hard to hear. But like, dude, that video, that shalogram. It's like, bro, I've been playing games. I'm not even thinking about this shit. And then I sit, I'm like, you know what? I want to make a video. Start making a video again. And now, bombs, bro. I'm like, dude, it's like I never left. Just fucking boom. The fire. You guys don't know because you don't know shallograms. Unless you know, pardon me. Thanks for hanging around if you do. Shallograms, baby. I took some pictures. I should share. We're pretty far into this. Maybe you guys. Because this actually, one of the most correct things that Terrence Howard said was that atoms are like wrapping a rag around your hand. Because ammonites are fractal atoms, and shallograms show the current flows that shape them and basically show how atoms function in ways that so I took pictures yesterday. This is incredible. So we've already seen this, but I've taken several pictures. Maybe I should go like this and go here, 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 and go like this so we can zoom in. Okay. Some of them are pretty low quality in terms of focus. So I'll just kind of skip past them. Notice how this segment has like, it's kind of circular and has structure, like erosion around it. Here's chakras. One of these type things here. There maybe. A layer in the back. Chakras there. One that was there. One there. But then just turning a little bit. But let's get to a couple better quality images. Notice also inside there how it's got almost like a wavy ripple to it all. In there, we'll see better pictures as we go for sure. I know they get better somewhere as I kind of change the camera around. It's hard to tell when taking them on a small screen exactly if how good the focus is. Maybe if I use the viewfinder. This is real crazy right here. That it like is like a wave. This this is imprinted all over the place on this stone. It's incredible. See the lines, the flow patterns. That I was thinking maybe we could see like relationships between these and the structures, like going this way and then bending down this way kind of thing. Unclear in that, but I haven't looked that close, but it occurred to me. So this looks pretty good back there, but this is still pretty out of focus. Some chakras, turning around a bunch. I swear we'll find some better focus videos or images soon. I put the ones on Twitter are the ones that are better focused, like this one. This here is incredible. Can't really see it in this image. There's one of the pillar chakra things, ammonite type structure there. But we can see it in some of the other images. There's some chakras across there, chakras across there. This one we can see it a bit better. Notice it's like generally across from whatever's going on here. This like points up there and then bend where it's like going straight, it points there and then it bends. Maybe even points generally that way to have some influence on this area when some current was flowing through here that then ran into resistance though and bent back away from it, but still influence like that stretch. Things like that are very decipherable in shallograms, certainly within reason, like errors are made. But decipherable to a point where errors are not made. takes doing it. So this is a millimeter. These are millimeters. Notice this is less than this. Under a millimeter. And maybe a little bit over a millimeter across this way. And then the chakra is thinner than the line on the ruler. Or at least as thin, we'll say. Just to, and then this thing looks crazy. Chakra there, but then on the sides are two little things as well, almost like a bullseye or some kind of like aiming device, like a scope or something. This is the impression it gives me. It also has another layer underneath it of another ammonite type structure. There's these ones again. This one has a window, an actual eroded path down into this one, which I did capture in these images somewhere, which is right around here in the back, so we can't see it. Very cool back there. Out of this world. This one was with no flash, to see if maybe I could capture this better. And then with flash. And then turning a bit at those again. Looks like there might be some kind of features like that going on with the way it is, but then this is cool right here. Straight line, and then over, up, like a cross looking thing. Crazy. I know there's other features around it, but it's probably related, honestly. And then there's that one with the scope aiming device. And then I kept taking pictures until I got this nice and clear. There's some chakras up there, all over the place. There's a pretty good image of the way that is. That chakra. Ask yourself how these survived erosion if this rock was eroded by water to be like shrunk. Because that's what modern science says, is this rock was eroded by the river to then erode openings, like physically, across where ammonites were within the rock, but somehow did not erode these fragile structures, and they did not experience any pressure to break them in millions of years. That is crazy. You can see little, like, definitely, they're not just straight up and down. They got, like, different thicknesses at different points. So here's that circle. Notice this is eroding around, like a nub. Like it's going around it. Kind of like, let me find a good shallogram example real quick. Kind of like this. Where there's a current flowing, swirling, that here erodes like little doop, doop, and like cuts in and then moves up and cuts in, moves, cuts in, and kind of cuts through. But then here, it didn't do that. It didn't glance off the rock like this up here. Instead, it hit it and drilled into the rock and through the rock. But where, because it's a current doing this, it has the most current along the boundary of the structure, which then erodes around it like this, leaving the center less eroded, and then doing it all over the place, and sometimes cutting out the center like there, or eroding it more like there, and so on. But this shows the process in ways. And then we can kind of just glance through like some other similar ones doing over here. Those are just kind of drilled in there. And this one going through here. Well, those are ammonites actually, but that there. These go through. This up here, kind of. This one that literally goes into the stone, forms an eddy, forms an ammonite with a window into the ammonite of the drilling into the stone. There it is again, doing the same thing around the outside. Got a grin, kind of Halloween-like face. This one's crazy. Holy crap. Again. Again. Okay, so that same thing, except in this case, around it didn't have quite the same structure, and instead broke down into smaller constituents that then formed chakra. Interestingly, these are right next to each other within the same opening. Shouldn't this be one chakra per ammonite? What the fuck? Modern science simply ignores the evidence that it cannot explain, or feels it already has explained. It won't even look at it. You guys haven't looked at these. It's a sad truth. You guys haven't looked at these. I thought you guys were on top of things. There's an entire group of rocks that have been utterly ignored by scientists. You guys have not looked at these. Can you imagine a geologist like walking down the street? They look over, they're like, I never saw that kind of rock. Keep going about their business. No, they're like, what in the fuck is that rock right there? What in the fuck is that rock right there? Maybe they don't have that voice. Maybe they don't use that language. Maybe they're like, tis the rock that I question. Once upon a time, I don't know. Guys, it's hard sometimes, you know? It's hard sometimes to be funny, because I'm not funny. It hurt to say that, because it's so true, dude. It's not fun. Dude, would you just finish what you're saying so I can do my shit? I'm fucking tired of this, dude. Got these over here. I know it's fucking worth my time, but then it goes and fucking does this shit. Dude, now you're wasting my time, bro. You can't do both. He's still not talking. What? Bro, I'm about to turn this shit off. Sorry, guys. Like I said, have fun by myself. It's fun here all alone. Oh, this one starts what it looks like. Maybe just in this image. It looks like it starts at the edge and goes... I know what to do. Let me see this here. Okay, false alarm. It does not start at the edge. It's probably more obvious in an image, and I didn't need to do that, but that seemed fun. Okay. There's the opening. So we can kind of see it there. The next image, for sure, we can see it better, but... Or one of the next ones, maybe not the next. You can see eroding very much, like, thinning here as well. Interestingly, it's thinning, like, more so on this half than on this half. And back there also is kind of like that half. Straight line across there. Kind of points to like the general center here. Like maybe something coming off here ran into resistance over here. Maybe this system was pushing this way, so it went more this way. Where this system, generally like an ammonite structure, pushes outward and up and down, but more so it's able to push outward. Hence its structure. So, like, even this would probably push this way more than this would push upward, even though it also has an upward pressure. So this system pushing also sideways and down maybe would lead to generally between them all something of this general pathing. Also, the chakras are pretty much in line with the center of that thing, it looks like, from this angle at least. This chakra may be very in line with over here, like there. This chakra in line with down here, generally. There's that. This is in here, and up in there. There's that opening, so we can see. So it's eroded like that subtly, and why is it eroded that subtly? So let's just say that the surface of the rock is way more exposed to water, so these chakras are less likely to be eroded. Do you see what I'm getting at? Why that's a problem? If there is a thinning of the structure that actually thins to a point of no structure over here at the back, furthest from the actual exterior of the rock, doesn't actually make sense. There's that structure, flower thing. Again, over here, we can see it under that chakra. It's really crazy. I call them chakras, but they're so different from the ammonites. I really don't know if these are considered ammonites, if they're just like dismissed as man-made, like fake shallograms, or what. I don't know what the hell modern science even says about these. Like, what? The fact that it's in there just blows my mind. Which means there was a chakra coming off there, like this. Or at least, like, the structure of the currents was there, whether or not it contained, like, shale, etc., or it was more so water-based and was just kind of outside of the stone. Here's another of those circular, like the other one over there on the top that it was like bigger, that had these kinds of things around it. I think this is it here even. So there's another one where we see erosion around the edge, like on the chakras. Kind of like bendy too, like almost like something to do with the fact that this is like this, like actually played into this shape, and the presence of this maybe played into this shape as some like general pressure region that pushed. Maybe if it swirled this way, if it did so, like coming off this way, it doesn't really go over here. So it has to go up this way to go up here. And then to go directly up, like it starts to kind of hit it more maybe as it goes directly up, more directly at it out of here, and then it passes it where it's less directly at this region, and maybe this region where currents are like escaping this eddy and going this way, and every which way around it maybe, but in this direction running into other currents is what I'm getting at. Is this probably was going this way and this was going this way, or some other cross current, but probably this, some current going this way that were running into each other and leading to a flow into the rock that then caused an eddy within the rock to create that structure, but with all the shape of it all. Or time erosion coincidence, and I don't know what I'm talking about, and that should bow down to modern science. I don't know. Please save me, modern science. I've strayed so far from the truth. How could one stray so far from the truth? Okay, I gotta get out of here now. This was gonna be only about Terrence Howard's stuff, and now I've made it about shallograms because they're awesome. And they really are. If you want to know what the structure of an atom is like, I'm not saying I got every nuance figured out, but I got a lot of it kind of like, dudes, you guys are missing some things. Did you notice this ammonite? Protons. I also have a periodic table I should maybe mention. Protons are eddies, and neutron within a container. An atom is a container, like like a shallogram, like a matrix, some container, and then current flow enters into that space, and it can form an eddy, and that eddy would then be a proton. If it forms an eddy and a mound, like compresses material into a dense mound, then that mound is a neutron, where the eddy is the proton in essence. And so the more eddies and mounds that a container is caused to have by current flows entering it, the more it progresses through the periodic table. Pretty much it has higher protons and neutrons. But that doesn't just arbitrarily happen. It has a sequence that is energetically related to the fact of the matter that atoms are containers that have space for current to flow in, and eddies form within that space, which are then protons, and mounds form within that space, which are neutrons. That's what an atom is. That's how it functions in a very fundamental way. So I have my own periodic table called the periodic table of currents. It is an incomplete periodic table, much like the one presented the other day on Joe Rogan, that kind of just lacks the end of the table as well, because it's hard to like progress through the entire table. It's really the key is to just like get the actual like important things at least tapped into enough that they can be accessed. Like this. Again, an atom is a container with a space in which a current flows, and when the current flows, it produces an eddy in the space because it's in a container, and there's current flowing into the container, so and out, but into, and the inlet flow then eddies and can form a neutron mound or multiple neutrons, and as more current flow goes in, it then like changes the internal structure or it breaks the atom down, like too much energy, I imagine, would break it down. Although to test that would be practically to have figured out how to make atoms, so I'm not really sure. So then this is the concept, is that then like the eddy, as current goes in and makes mounds, like the eddy positions relative to the mounds in a way where it physically leads to like it has a path around it that flows, and then the eddy pushes, like because the current's going this way, like current's going in and around and out, and then current goes in and hits the neutron, the mass, and reflects off it into that mass and forms a swirl, an eddy here, but then because there's current pushing into it, it kind of cuts across, and if there's enough inlet current, it can cut across completely to then create another actual channel in the polygon, which then effectively allows for another eddy, where then two eddies can form in the space. I don't know exactly why the channels would be, or like the necessity, whether this is like absolute that there would be like an outlet channel. It just kind of makes sense to me that in hydrogen the outlet channel is the inlet, and beyond that the outlet channel is an outlet, where the inlet and outlet are shared in hydrogen, whereas in everything else the inlet and outlet are different, where the inlet where helium has one outlet, but then the outlets start to increase where they only have one inlet into this container, like the opening into a shallogram. And then lithium. So this is not yet the periodic table, obviously. These are me like showing my beginnings of the process, where essentially then also because of the fractal nature of reality, which is as above so below, but also like I've certainly added some detail that the world may not have picked up on, like Moorea, I'm pretty sure is a very very good representation of a lithium atom. I know it sounds ridiculous at first glance, but its structure, this hides it. So if we go real quick, go Google Earth. Let's go over here. This. So like there's a polygon with broken boundaries, but I took it as like the main, maybe it represents multiple things in different ways, but the main thing I was interpreting is an inlet over here that cuts in, like it physically cuts in to this space and goes across and exits with multiple exits over here. 1, 2, where the mountains are like neutrons in a way where there's like a neutron generally over here, one over here, maybe one there. Like, in terms of the way it behaves as like actually having neutrons and protons in space for current to flow. When it was happening, when this was forming at least, maybe once they form, they are more like this, where they don't have the current flows like actively propagating through them, and they kind of solidify as like the final product, cool down, and like are no longer moldable, like blacksmithing or something. But so, real quick, I have an entire playlist about this, the periodic table of currents. So feel free to check it out as I work my way through it. It's certainly a work in progress throughout the videos, and even now is still, like, this is where I left off. So the idea is that as neutrons form, the neutrons, so this is something I'd point out about the periodic table, it is focused on protons. That's just a fact of the matter, that the periodic table of elements is written with, like, if you were to create a list of the important details of the periodic table, number 1 is how many protons an atom has. That is what matters. Hydrogen, just go down the list. Protons. There's no real reference even to how many neutrons, except for in the atomic mass, but it doesn't even really bring in isotopes. What I did was I said, hold up. Hold the phone. What if this neutron structuring was critical? So when they form these mounds within a container, like if you imagine there's 2 mounds and there's a current going through between the mounds, the current's going to generally like go through the mounds. But if there's, say, a third mound over here, like over right here, let's say, this current is kind of deflect off of it relatively because it's not balanced. So some of it's going to hit the mound and bounce off and go this way. And so this system is going to like create an instability. If you just think about it like that, and then we go through it, these are the stable isotopes of elements 1 to 20. Stable isotopes. So I will reiterate, I'm a chemical engineer. I am the discoverer of the theory of everything. I have rewritten geology pretty much completely. It's a fact of the matter, dudes. So, proof's in the pudding. Just gotta see my work. Okay. Neutrons, add another neutron, lithium. So I kind of just, like, lithium is kind of like, I don't know, like, it was probably unstable a lot of ways maybe. So I kind of like used this in terms of the neutron arrangement. I effectively used Moorea, the island, and my interpretation that it was actually representative of a lithium atom in ways as something to help guide me in terms of how these mounds might arrange themselves. So notice this looks a lot like Moorea, the island. If we go, like, turn it. So that's how I ended up like depicting it. Neutron, 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 neutron. Proton, proton, proton. I know it's kind of like, what the fuck, dude? But that's how fractal reality is. Like, if you really could see an atom, it wouldn't just be an atom, it would be complex, have structure in ways that are just like, what do you mean proton and neutron? What do you mean? So then we add another one, and now notice though, helium, helium, lithium, lithium. So the same number of what this means is the same number of eddies, increasing number of neutrons, and now increasing number of neutrons and increasing number of eddies. So to go from here really requires both. And then another neutron can happen, but then once we hit here, we start going another neutron and another proton. And now we have like a stable 4. This is the key. Once we hit 4, especially once we get to like beginnings. So I kind of figured like what would happen is it would go do something like this where it goes past the neutron and generally has a proton, but like an eddy forming past the mound within the container, past the mound between the mounds within the container. But then it would divide the mounds. So like this mound over here, like current would go like into this because there's so much current here. Let's say like it's so much energy that it's not helium anymore. Like the current flowing through, in order for that to happen, would literally take a neutron and split it and then build mounds around the mounds to like reform out of the split neutron 2 neutrons. Kind of like the splitting of a cell, like literally splitting the neutron and then seeding 2 neutrons out of that. Oops. What did I do? What have I done? Okay. Seeding 2 neutrons out of that though, and like so, but also forming another path between them, so that like the seeded neutron ends up like that with another path between it branching off. And then this gives a backstop here, like by forming a structure like this, it gives like this current could go this way more because there's a lot of pressure over here. Like there's a system here, 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 resistance. There's resistance over here. So in essence, it allows for current to be like go back towards the beginning is kind of how I interpret it. Like it goes between these, which form a backstop, but then it goes to the beginning, which then forms another neutron because of the backstop, which then puts it here, like so, is what I have drawn here. And then that directs the current up this way. Like there's all this pressure over here now, so it tends to direct it this way, which leads to this neutron splitting, which then leads to a backstop to support a structure of another neutron in front of it. And now we've got a stable structure. And notice, this structure repeats. Here it is again. This structure does not repeat. This structure does not repeat. This structure does not repeat. This number of neutrons, which according to this pattern has this structure, take it or leave it, repeats where the structure is stable. And then over here, there's a, what I then ended up doing was adding them afterwards. Like all this behaves almost like a channel, a conduit that then allows current to pass through and then starts the process again where it forms a neutron like over here and then another neutron. But notice that effectively what's happening is neutrons are increasing, but the same number of eddies when it's within the same element. So there's more mounds forming, another mound, but there's not enough mounds for more eddies to form. But then there's enough mounds for more eddies to form here. But I guess it requires another eddy to actually support this structure, perhaps. And maybe there's like some missing like arrangement of the protons that I'm not actually accounting for in this, that probably is part of it and maybe mirrors it in some way. But then this stable structure happens and suddenly we've got a structure that can support more eddies. So what happens? More eddies, another eddy. And then that structure has so much external pressure, outward pressure because of the eddies, not external, but pushing outward, because of the eddies, that another neutron needs to form, and then another neutron. And then now we've got, mind you, this one was unstable because it has one at the side. So it's not really like the optimal, it's not that it's unstable, it's a stable isotope. It's just not the optimal structure to support multiple increases in eddies. So instead, it's just within the same number of eddies, more mounds form. And then we've got this structure, mind you, this repeats too. But this structure repeats again over here. So nitrogen, and this is in the early part of the periodic table. This is the only one that repeats that has like a tail that is a single odd number. It's the only odd number of neutrons that repeats that I, at least as far as I saw, which was pretty far down, but I mean, there's a lot of isotopes the further you go down. So it's a lot more to account for. So there might be more repeats of number of odd isotope or neutrons, but I don't know if there is. There's certainly not in the first 20. So this one repeats though, and then besides that, even repeats 3 times. Same structure. So basically, this is a great structure for supporting more eddies. So more eddies. So then it allows for more protons. And then the protons exert an outward pressure on those mounds that is like pushing the limits of what the mounds can support. And so add oxygen. Once it's gone up to, again, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen. So adds 2 protons. Not one, but 2, which is and probably pointing to some symmetry of the process, like this with protons, that it adds 2 protons, not 1. And then again, it adds 2 neutrons within the same number of protons to a new stable structure that has an even number. So like current flows through, and maybe even flows back around from like over here to back here, and like a sphere kind of current. Whereas if it's like flowing off to the side, it's still doing so in a sphere, and that leads to like really weird current flows that are not stable within a sphere. Maybe something of that nature. I don't know if it's a sphere. I know I call it an ammonite. There's a lot of things going on to really account for. And then again, though, repeats. Stable structure, oxygen, fluorine, neon. And then no longer able to support more eddies, so it increases to another stable structure within neon. And then same structure repeats for sodium and magnesium. And then increases within magnesium to another stable structure, and then protons add, and then increases within silicon to another stable structure, and then protons add, and then increases within silicon to another stable structure. Like, this is what's going on, undoubtedly. And ammonites, this is probably like Terrence Howard said, probably this isn't like a line going across like this that just continues across as we can keep adding elements. Like, this is a spiral, like an ammonite, that spirals around. And these are probably like chambers, is my guess. Like, this is a chamber, this is a chamber. So like, if we were to look at shallograms, shallogram grips, this one, where is it? I'm just trying to find one, this one. So like in here is probably details of these neutrons and maybe even the protons that are associated with them. Like in there, in the chambers, these are split, like grooved, actually segmented into chambers. Okay, guys, I think I've said enough. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you next time. If you know or whatever, I don't know. If you're new to my channel, just because I'm talking about Terrence Howard's work, maybe you're offended. How dare you? You probably don't believe me. They probably didn't listen, so what am I even talking? If you're here, well, thanks. Guess you made it. That's cool. Holy crap, if you did, huh? Some people are like, whoa, dude. What in the fuck? What? I just leave people like, what? What the fuck? The fuck did I just watch? I don't even know, man. What the fuck? I'm just gonna forget about it. Fuck it. Oh, ain't nobody got time for that.